Let's talk about, like, based on your own journey as a doctoral journey, what advice would you have for a student who is going to start
Hmm.
a doctoral journey and also a student who is in the middle of a doctoral journey?
Oh, okay.
So let's start with who is thinking about, okay, I should do doctorate in, I should apply to UNF and
Hmm.
start my doctoral journey. What advice would you have for that person?
I think that I would say just jump in
Hmm.
because if you're in the right place, nobody's going to let you fail. And I don't mean academically A's, B's, C's, like grade wise fail. I think
Hmm.
if you're at the right place, and I think, I love my journey at UNF because everybody was in it for everybody else. And that is evident from the directors of the programs at UNF all the way to those of us that are learning. And so if you're waiting for the right time, it's kind of that old saying with a lot of other things in our lives. If you keep waiting for the right time,
It
it's
never comes.
it's never
Yeah.
going to happen. So you just kind of have to rip the Band-Aid off and go for it. If it's not for you, you'll know. You'll know a semester if whether
Hmm.
you can handle it or if it's even the right choice for you. But you won't ever know if you don't just jump in and start.
Right. Yeah.
It I'll kind of jokingly go back to if I can finish this, and anybody can do this, I promise you. But it is that I don't want to say it wasn't as hard or as difficult as I thought it was going to be because there were definitely the what am I doing moments. There were, I think, twice tears. I think twice.
Okay.
Um,
That's not bad.
I think I quit 3 times. When my
Okay.
husband listens to this, if he watches this, he will agree to that.
Hmm.
I think I quit 3 times, and figuratively. But yeah, you just keep knowing that if you just approach each semester as just a semester to get through and not worry about this big dissertation
Right.
that you have to write at the end of it, even though we start talking about it all along the way, that was definitely a little bit intimidating because right from the beginning, you're learning about how to write a dissertation, which I
Mhm.
also can appreciate that we did that way in our program. It doesn't wait until year 2 or year 3 to start
Mhm.
learning about how to write a dissertation. I enjoyed that it was part of the curriculum that you were also doing,
Mhm.
and so somebody halfway through, I would say stay committed to the process for sure. Don't remove yourself away from it because if you do, it would be that much harder
To get
to
back.
get back into it.
Yes. Yeah.
Mentally, you've got to stay connected to it. You've got to persevere. You got to push through, but you've also got to know when to take care of you and just still enjoy. You don't want to let 4 years of your life go by. And
Yeah. It's
I struggled at times because there were definitely moments where I felt like nobody was getting the best version of me. Work wasn't getting the best version of me. My family wasn't getting the best version of me. I wasn't, as a wife, I wasn't giving the best version. And then to my studies, to UNF, I
Mhm.
wasn't nobody was getting the full version of me. Everybody was getting only a percentage of me. And that was difficult for me as a person who really just thrives on kind of just that like serving others and servant leadership almost. It was really difficult for me to know that there were parts of my life not getting the best version of me. But you just have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
So that would be some advice is be okay with not being 100% and
I like that. Yeah.
not everybody is going to judge you for that.
Yeah.
And I think that the other thing is, and my husband was really good about this, he would know when to tell me, pull back, walk away, like shut your computer for the weekend. You're done. We're going to dinner. And
Mhm.
so I think it's having somebody that recognizes when you've kind of hit a wall and you just need to,
Like, take a pause,
yes,
hit a pause button. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. I was a morning writer. I got up in the mornings and wrote. I could not, my days were just, I couldn't do it at the end of the day. So in the last year, when it really came down to the research time,
Mhm.
uh, if my, if I was up at 3 or 4 a.m. and I couldn't turn my brain off anyway, I just learned like just get out of bed and go
Start
sit and
writing.
start typing and writing stuff
Mhm.
out. Um, yeah.
I often wonder about, sometimes students ask me, like, morning versus evening. Some people, they love to, you know, start writing in the evening after,
Mhm.
everyone else in the family is kind of sleeping.
Mhm.
You just try to get as much as you could do. Versus some people, like in your case, it was like a morning person.
Mhm.
You wake up early and try to like keeping aside like 1 hour
Mhm.
a day just for writing early morning, no distraction, and that leads to like get a lot done in a couple of weeks. Like
Mhm.
gradually, if I write just one paragraph a day, in 30 days I have 30 paragraphs,
Right.
which is like almost a chapter.
Well, and even if, like right now, if you're with, I know you teach the intro to qualitative, and that's where you're really starting to learn how to use your resources and how to catalog
Mhm.
your resources. So even if you're not writing, even if you're just interacting with your work,
Material and
absolutely.
resources, yeah.
For me, again, I really found Excel extremely helpful in organizing my articles, and I would annotate my articles and tag, and I would have columns of quotes and things of where I thought they, and just nerded out
Hmm.
on spreadsheets. But I started pulling that in along the way. That if we were reading articles for other or other tasks in courses, I would just start to catalog them and track them with that. So,
And this is so consistent with the idea you shared about being in the process.
mhm,
Because if you somehow remove yourself from the process for a month to a
mhm,
semester, it's very hard to get back into that.
right.
So I think even if you don't write a paragraph on a day, you are just sitting there and just reading your material,
Mhm.
organizing your
Yep.
literature, keeps you in the process. So that's very important.
Yeah. I had I shared it with you. My 7 things that helped me as
Yeah,
a
please. Yeah, let's
dissertation
talk.
student. Yeah, I'll give you those. That can be
Yeah,
maybe
Haley has developed based on her experience
yes.
about some of great resources, some of like do's that she followed.
Mhm.
So she's going to share that. Thank you for doing that.
I had kind of forgotten about it till I was driving here today, and I remembered, and I sent it to a few of you guys afterwards. Like, and I remember just driving one day and going, "What would have helped me knowing
Right.
like how to get through this?" Organizationally, OneNote, the
OneNote,
platform OneNote, is
the
really
app.
where I did all of my writing because I had a tab for chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, 4, and 5, and then I could write if you're not familiar with OneNote, but OneNote, you can then catalog it. And I could write, okay, in chapter 2, if I'm writing about this, or in chapter 3, if I'm writing about my data collection, data analysis. And so it
You
wasn't,
can catalog it.
yes, it
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
Microsoft Word where it was one big, long running document. Now,
Mm,
eventually,
okay.
when it was time to put it all together, yes, it
Right.
all made it into a Microsoft Word document, but I couldn't just keep scrolling and control F and using my
Mhm.
navigation pane. So OneNote was really good for me even when it was time to start writing. I just had it structured that way. Catalog management, RefWorks, was really great for me. We learned about it early on, and I know that there's other ways to do it in programs out there. It really helped me with citation management. RefWorks, I
Yes.
probably used it more for citation management than anything. However, when you export from RefWorks, you still have to check your citations because
Yes.
it is not 100%
It's
APA
not
7th edition.
100% APA style. So, yeah.
So, but RefWorks was key. Anytime I would find an article, I would just, even if I found it on Google Scholar or not within the UNF database, I would go try to find it in the UNF
Yes.
database so that I could house
Save it
it in
there.
RefWorks. Absolutely. I didn't get fancy with it. I didn't add tags to mine. I think I had a few files, but initially it just became one big RefWorks database for me, and I just searched by article name or author.
Mhm.
Evernote is another.
So,
Evernote is another app that I would use, and Evernote was how to when if I was researching or just finding or surfing the internet on anything, and I wanted to just find websites or articles or things. So it was another way to. It was almost Evernote can kind of be like Pinterest,
mhm.
but
Okay.
it would help me catalog things and save articles that I would find maybe if I wasn't in research mode. If something came across while I'm just on my phone and I found it, I would quickly save it in my Evernote and it would just kind of help me catalog some things. I already talked about my cohort mates, my crew, my buddies, but even more to that, there were 4 of us that we defended in the fall semester And like, we're not supposed to graduate, obviously, until May right now,
Mhm.
but there were 4 of us that kind of got aggressive with it. And we said, no, we all want to graduate in the fall. We kind of want to just power through. I did all my research last summer, and I just didn't really want to let it go too long to where it wasn't fresh
Yeah.
enough in my mind. So having just even a small group of 3 or 4 of us that were in a similar phase of the journey once we got into the dissertation writing. We have our big group, but then there were 4 of us that we kind of had our moments with each other
Like
also.
supporting each other
We
with
did.
writing and just keeping each other accountable.
Yep.
Uh,
Accountability groups. Yeah.
yeah.
We did some meeting write-ups. I am one of the nerds that I liked the Zoom Thursday night writing circles that we did. I actually
Mhm.
really preferred those because it was a time I could carve out. We had ourselves on Zoom. Some of my cohort mates don't love that. There was one write-up we did at one of the breweries around town towards the end, and I think we didn't do much writing there. We decided to do more socializing and commiserating at that point.
But that also helpful, like,
It did.
like just you get some vibe, some good
Yep.
energy to continue.
We're all in
Yeah.
it together.
Mhm.
And then having the right chair makes everything. Really, the
Mhm.
right committee in general. I didn't know how valuable it would be to have all the right committee people. Don't be
Uh,
overwhelmed by that process. I just, I also found it very important to have people that aligned with the research that you were doing. We have a lot of professors that we really liked in this program, and I would have loved to have had them
mhm.
on my committee, but I didn't necessarily need them on my committee for that
Yeah,
because they didn't
because
align with my topic.
topic of
They're
interest. Yeah.
Yes, and they would be better served on someone else's research.
Yeah,
So
because people can make then contribution to your
correct.
exploration. Yeah.
Your YouTube channel is number 6. So yes,
Listen,
there's a
everybody.
plug for Dr. Mara's YouTube channel is one of the big ones for sure, and especially when I got into the data analysis and
Mm,
really just trying to figure out how to write about data analysis
the coding
and
process.
coding for
Yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
The videos were extremely helpful. If anything, they were just reminders of stuff that we had talked in coursework.
Yeah, it's
And that was extremely helpful. And then towards the end, I didn't necessarily realize that I was doing this, but we're travelers. My love language is to travel. And whether it's a 3-day weekend or a week long, I would say still do all of those things. But in the last 2 semesters, and definitely the summer and the spring, and actually, Dr. Yendel Hoppy pointed out what I was doing, like a writing weekend where I would go away. One of my favorite places to go, our favorite places to go is downtown St. Pete. And it's only like 3.5 hours away. So we do weekends a lot. And I may spend all day Saturday
writing there.
writing while we're there or even in a
I
coffee
love
shop
that idea.
there.
Yeah.
And so she
So
pointed out to me,
you
I
go
was
with your
doing it and I
family or
didn't
you go
even,
with your
usually,
cohort?
and on those, it would be with my husband. Yeah.
Okay.
Not with the kids because there's no writing
Yeah.
possible when they're around
Yeah.
because they're just, we're doing other things. But yeah, I would just, I didn't realize I was doing it. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, these were smart. I would go away and I would write.
You get more done in
Yeah,
that
spend 4 or
time,
5 days during the day
Right. Yeah.
writing and then still go feel like can go to dinner and enjoy the town of whatever 3-day weekend. Go to Jekyll Island, go up to
I
Amelia,
love
go to
that.
Savannah, go to Charleston, get away and
Yeah.
write. I don't know. So
So these were
those were
your
my 7 things to surviving the doctoral dissertation